Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the American Baptist Churches of New Jersey. You are now participating in what we're calling the Sacred Safe Spaces webinars. And we, the American Baptist Churches of New Jersey, are trying to equip the church to prevent and heal our communities of the violence and the assaults that are happening in our communities. It's in our churches, it's in our communities, it's all around us. And we have a vision for our churches to be healthy, beloved communities where peace, mutual respect, justice, and love are upheld for all. Our mission is to have faith leaders, congregations, and neighborhood groups working together to create compassionate healing communities to provide a safe place for those who have experienced violence to heal. So in our series of webinars, we have been addressing different topics, and today we're dealing with some ideas in terms of what you can do as your church to be a sacred, safe space. The title of this webinar is Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention, Training in the Church. And our presenter today is my friend Hilda Massenburg. And she'll tell you more about herself and go on with our presentation. Welcome.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody. I'm Hilda Massenburg. I'm a member of the Mount Olivet Baptist Church in Haddonfield, New Jersey. I don't want to give you so much information about myself because this is not about me. It's about all of us working together to uplift the kingdom of God, first of all, and to educate everyone on prevention and training in the domestic violence field. I will share this with you. I am so blessed to have partnerships with a lot of the churches within the Camden County, Burlington County communities, and also Salem County. I am a member of the Maud S. Walker Missionaries, who's a very, very diligent supporters to all that we do to help prevent and to aid the shelters and providing them with materials that they need, such as toiletries, mattresses, things of that nature that's needed in the shelters to help our women when they transition from homes or wherever they may be. I have worked with churches in Philadelphia, Zion Baptist, and other areas as well. So I just want to let you know that we are here to learn about what we can do to help our sisters and sometimes our brothers with their domestic violence issues. So right now we're going to set the atmosphere. I know everybody's trying to get on and everybody's rushing, and I just want you to just take a few seconds and just take a deep breath in and out, in and out, as we're setting the atmosphere. As God did in the beginning, he set the atmosphere. So I just want you for a little while to just forget about things like rushing around, what you're going to do for lunch, and just focus on being here and now. And I'll explain to you why I have this mask on as we go through our presentation. Are we ready? Let's get started. The first thing that we like to do is educate. Here's the agenda that's listed, and I hope you all can see it. We're going to talk about power and control. We wear the mask, silence and consent. You are the expert. Self-care wills, action plan, conclusion, and we're going to provide you with some resources. What is domestic violence? In order for us to talk about this, there's some things that you need to know about domestic violence and what it looks like and how it happens. Domestic violence has been defined as violent or aggressive behavior within the home, typically involving the violent abuse of a spouse or partner. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe, intimate partner physical violence. Domestic violence is based on the abuse of power and control. The power and control wheel that you'll see was created by victims of domestic violence to help explain the different ways an abusive partner uses power and control to manipulate a relationship. As you can see, this power control wheel talks about isolation, emotional abuse, economic abuse, sexual abuse, using children, threats, using citizenship or residency privilege, intimidation. All of these things on this wheel, the women had gotten together to discuss the things that they had experienced while in a domestic violence situation. You may know someone, and I'm sure that all of us, if you are not a participant or a survivor of domestic violence, you may know someone that has or is experiencing all of these things that you see on this wheel. The abuser will isolate the victim from being around their family and friends, will not allow him or her to talk to them. Emotional abuse, they'll have them stop talking to the family, calling names, and just saying things that put them down. Intimidation. You will know that some of us have grown up in the church where our parents, our moms especially, would give us this eye, and you knew what that look meant. Well, this also happens with women of domestic violence. They will give them looks, and these are threats, don't do this. And if you look at them and you see that look, and you know right away what that means. They'll intimidate them, and they'll take their passports away from them, not allow them to do the things that you would normally do. Economic abuse, they don't want the the victim to go to work. They won't let you go to school. They'll keep you in the house, and you can't have money to do the things that you would like to do. We like to shop, so they will keep that away from us and will not allow us to do the things that normal people would do, shopping, things of that nature. Sexual abuse. It even gets to a point where they will have their partners in prostitution. Now we call it human trafficking, because these are things where you do not want to be, and you are not signing on to sexual abuse, prostitution, anything of those natures. Citizenship. We have a lot of people in our churches that are immigrants, and they will take away your documentation, your citizenship reports. They will take away your passports. They will take away things that will keep you from excelling, to going out and, making a job, a life for yourself, because they'll say, I'm going to report you to the authorities. And using your children. You're going to threaten to take your children away from you. They're going to report you to diapers, and, anything that you do that they can use to keep you where they want to keep you, this is what they'll use. So it's called power and control. Punching you, kicking you, calling you names, beating you up. All of these are physical abuse, emotional abuse, anything that they can do to keep you in line. And we know that the church has been a tool for us to go to a place of refuge. They will also use the church against us to keep us in line. Years ago, the history of domestic violence is stemmed as far back as slavery is concerned. And oftentimes the Bible was used to keep people in line, especially women. There are different scriptures that are quoted, this is what a woman should do. And I can remember hearing my dad say girls are supposed to be seen and not heard. Well, that's no longer true. Those are myths. Those are things that are used to keep us in line. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouth with mirrored subtleties. Why should the world be overwise and counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh great Christ, our cries. To thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh the clay is vile. Beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. Why is this poem so important? Because what happens is we go to church. We have so many things that's on our hearts and that's on our minds. We don't want anybody to see that we're going through something because we're afraid of what we're going to say. We go to church to be uplifted, but a lot of people go to church as an escape to their pain and what's going on in their homes. So they can't tell you that this is happening because right away we want to judge people. We look at people and, we make opinions about what's going on behind those masks. Now, we're all wearing masks in this pandemic situation. Why are we wearing those masks? Because we want to protect ourselves. We wear these masks so we don't want people to be hurt. We don't want people to see what's going on in our daily lives. And, we often speak about we're in the church. We're going to the church because the church is a hospital and where we can take our burdens to the Lord and leave them there. But can we really take them there and leave them there when we have people judging us, looking at us, whispering behind our backs, talking about what's going on? If somebody comes in the church that you've never seen before and all of a sudden they don't look like you, they're running, they're crying, you think they're praising God and, you're just so happy that they're there, but you really don't know the real reason they're there. They could be running from that abusive relationship, and it could be somebody right there in the church. And I want to just take you through these slides so you'll see the different things that we're talking about and how they may even apply to you. So, do you take off your mask? Do you want somebody to see you for who you really are without judging you? And if you go to somebody and say, hey, sister, I need some money for this and I need money for that, right away, we want to ask questions. Well, what you need that for? Instead of listening. And it's very important that somebody comes to you, that you listen to what they have to say and not judge them and not try to figure out what's going on, because that person could very well be you. Silence does not mean consent. Can we talk? This is my story. Because oftentimes, again, you don't want people to know what's going on. So what you do, you be quiet about it. Because again, it's my story. This is what's going on in my life. You don't want anybody to tell you what to do because it may not be what you need. And when you tell somebody what to do, and if it doesn't work out for them, what's going to happen? They're going to come back to you and say, you know what, you told me to do X, Y, and Z, and it didn't work out for me. So just because I'm not telling you what's happening with me, it doesn't mean that I agree with the abuse that I'm experiencing. It doesn't mean that I agree with how my partner is talking to me, calling me the B word, telling me I'm no good. All of those things that lower your self-esteem, that make you feel lower than the ant on the ground. But then we go to the church to be healed, and we have those same people coming at us with the same things that we're dealing with at home. So we revert. We wear that mask. We don't want anybody to know what's going on. Cultural norms. We've all been taught, don't air your dirty laundry. What happens in this house stays in this house. You don't tell anybody what's going on. However, you need somebody that you can depend on, that you can talk to, that you can confide in, that won't judge you, that will listen to you, that will be your support. Because domestic violence is a learned behavior. You don't just wake up in the morning and decide that you're going to punch somebody in the face. Now, on your first date, you're sitting there with the person that you want to spend some time with, and if they said to you, walked up to you and just punched you in your face, would you continue to be with that person? I don't think so. But then when you share that story with somebody, they're looking at you like, what are you doing? Why are you there? This is a learned behavior. We see this in our daily lives. Children are very impressed by the way we speak, by the way we walk, by the way we dress. They emulate things that we do. They look at us as role models. So when we talk about domestic violence, you want to look into adverse child experiences. This is trauma. This started way back when the child or the person was young. Their mother could have been in an abusive relationship. Their best friend could have been in a relationship, an abusive relationship. Name calling, slapping somebody on the behind are 19 acts of domestic violence that talks about what domestic violence is. It's harassment, it's assault, it's terroristic threats, it's breaking into your house, holding you hostage. These things that can keep you from moving forward, that can help you, just keep you down and oppressed and keep you from moving forward. So when you're in a situation where you're in a domestic violence situation, you look at what happened. What happened to that person growing up? This is perpetuated trauma. You keep victimizing this person. Everything you say, everything you do, it's trauma. It's traumatic. So when we talk about don't air your dirty laundry, you don't want people to know what's going on, because now they will know the shame, the guilt, the hurt that you have been carrying for such a long time. And what is a healthy relationship? We've come this far by faith. We talk about faith. What is faith? What does it look like? What is a healthy relationship? A healthy relationship to you and to me may be something totally different. You want somebody there that's going to support you, that's going to love you, that's going to tell you you're beautiful, let you know that I'm here, I support you. Everything is going to be all right. What do? Somebody comes to you and they look at you and you really look good. What does that mean to you? Are you ready to share? Do you want to hear what someone has to say? Because you have somebody who's always walking around and everything is all good and they're in a healthy relationship, but your relationship is not healthy. We've come this far by faith. What does that mean? Forgiving yourself. We often just beat ourselves up. We look at scriptures and, talk about being a virtuous woman. What does that mean to you? We are super women. We do everything for everybody but ourselves. We don't look at ourselves and take care of ourselves like we should. So what do? We walk around again with those masks on, beating ourselves down, lowering our self-esteem. Proverbs 31. You see what she does? She's doing everything but taking care of herself. So we owe each other an apology. I forgive myself for emotional abuse I've allowed me to suffer. I forgive me for believing in someone more than I did me. I forgive me for not listening to my needs. I forgive me for hurting my feelings, by sometimes not wanting to be me. I forgive me for denying my body nourishment as I overwhelmed my mind with mental anguish. I forgive me for the embarrassment I have caused myself. I apologize for all these wrongs I have inflicted on me and ask myself to recognize my shortcomings, to understand and forgive me for the long suffering and pain I never had. So the church, we say, it doesn't happen in Christian homes. The struggle and is spiritually abused by the men who promise to honor and cherish them. Submission will solve the problem. These are myths. This gives an abuser license to further abuse. It's the woman's fault. Here we go again. Blaming the woman for everything. She's not acting like a Christian woman. If she discloses this to an untrained pastor who confronts the husband, this can cause her more problems in the relationship. Domestic violence, domestic abuse isn't as bad as domestic violence. What? No means no. Abusive behavior such as calling names, shaming her in front of the children, criticizing what she does, controlling finances. These are all the things that we talked about in that power and control will that you take time and look at. If the user is truly sorry and forgiven, the relationship should be reconciled. No. Statistics show that victims will return to the destructive relationship 7 times before they leave for good. So, in the Jewish community, it takes them 11 times before they leave. So, how do we help? What do? We have to develop a safety plan. When they come to church, we should be prepared as a congregation, as leaders, to help the person that's coming to these workshops. Oftentimes, workshops are done because somebody expressed a need in the church about what was going on without disclosing that it's them that it's happened to. These plans contain simple but critical steps that you can take to increase the safety while you deal with violence in the church. I don't know if you can see my screen well enough because I want you to look at my hand. Can you see that? If somebody could tell me whether they can see that.
Yes, we can see.
This is a circle. It's a black circle in the palm of my hand. I'm giving you some tools that if somebody comes into your church and they raise their hand or they come up to you and show you this black circle in their hand, you might look at this and say, why she got that circle in her hand? What does that mean? That's a cry of help. That means that they are in a domestic violence situation. The abuser may very well be in the church and they need your help for safety. What do? You take that person to the side quietly and find out what's going on with them. But only a trained person in the church would know to look for something like this. So you may have somebody that just walked in off the street, that they are in distress, that they need help. What do? Again, you take them to safety. In your safety plan, developing a safety plan, you need to help them get their documents together, the social security cards, birth certificates. If they are an immigrant, any papers that they may have to keep them safe, they need to be put in a safe place. Help them. You don't develop the safety plan for them. Let them develop the plan. They know their story. They know what's good for them. They know how they can help themselves better than you can because they are the experts of themselves. With that safety plan, you would encourage them to have someone that they can contact in the event that something happens. You be careful when you say, I got your back. You can depend on me. When you say that, you don't know the story. You don't know the history of their abuse. You don't know the abuser. So when this all happens, yes, you can be supportive, but at the same time, you have to be safe and they have to be safe as well. So you allow them to write their safety plan. Let them tell you what they need from you without you dictating to them what they should or should not do. Because you can put the safety plan in place, they may very well follow it, go back to the abuser, and where are you? You're upset because they didn't do what you told them to do. I'm giving you some tools and some tips for safety. This, can you see this? It's a lipstick holder. This is a safety mechanism for someone who's in a domestic violence situation who may need help. If somebody walks up to you and you've never seen them before and they hand you a tube of lipstick, don't just think it's a tube of lipstick. You need to take it, open it up. Can you see? Can you see? Inside it is a safety plan. Took it out of this tube. They have, in this tube, they have given you a safety plan for them. What's going on? They're letting you know that they are in a domestic violence situation. They need your help. You take this and you help them. They may walk away from you, but they have given you a map of what they need your help doing. They may need to be taken from their home to a safe place. They may need to go to a shelter. They may need you to contact their mother. They may need you to contact anyone on this paper. They may even be telling you where the abuser is located. Please, please take these things for not for anything other than you are helping them. There's two places in the home that you want to stress to a victim or a person that's in trouble that they should not try to find themselves or be caught in. One is the bathroom and the other is the kitchen. You don't want to be in the kitchen because there's weapons in there. In the bathroom, you can't get out if you don't have a window. How can you aid them to a safety plan that will keep them safe? You teach them how to exit the bathroom by using some spray. Spray it in the victim's and the perpetrator's face so you will get yourself out of there. Close the door when you leave. This is a part of a safety plan. You don't want to kill them. You just need to get out and get yourself to a safe place. And then when you leave the place, you yell fire, not help, because nobody's going to pay you any attention. If you find yourself in the kitchen, and by the way, all of these tools that I'm giving you to help somebody, you can use them for yourself as well. If somebody breaks into your home, you can use them. If you are in the kitchen and you can't get out of the kitchen, again, use some spray. Spray it in their eyes, leave. Make sure you close the door. Develop a support group. Support groups can serve as valuable adjuncts to individual advocacy or counseling. These groups provide opportunities for participants to discuss daily struggles with the multiple issues affecting their safety, sobriety, wellness, and empowerment. Oftentimes in our churches, as women, we get together, we have our support groups, we talk about things, and that's where we feel comfortable taking off those masks. That's where we feel that we can be vulnerable. That's where we feel that we have the support of people that are going to help us get to where we need to be safe. We're not judging anyone. We're just helping. We're talking. And oftentimes you'll find that you're doing the same things because we often think that it's only happening to me. that it's not happening to anyone else. A lot of the churches get together and they have groups that are just awesome, and they will have these specifically to deal with domestic violence issues, sexual assault issues, and human trafficking, where women can come together and talk and be uninhibited and just share their stories and not be judged and not be looked down and not, be made to feel like they are lower than an ant on the ground. This is where we empower each other. We boost each other's self-esteem. We give hugs. We give words of encouragement, things of that nature to help move us to where we need to be, safe and happy. Develop SMART goals. I have to come up with some goals. With these goals, they need to be simple, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Make sure your goals are based on reality. Be prepared to support your goals through energy and effort. Develop a daily regimen for self-care. When was the last time you all took a bath? We've been here in COVID, all locked up, all locked down. Do we take time to take care of ourselves, to take a bath? Because there's a process with taking a bath. You have to set the atmosphere. And this is about you taking care of you. You have to turn the water on. You have to put, get your clothes out and get you some nice smelling colognes and some bath oils and things like that. Get out some music and just relax and just take care of you. That's taking a bath, because what you're doing is you're sitting there, you're soaking, you're taking time for yourself to take care of you, to calm your spirit, to calm your mind, and you're just soaking and just washing and just taking and just getting all of that junk off of you. Get your bed ready too. Put some nice fresh sheets on the bed. Turn on some nice music. Get you some nice flower petals. Things like that. Set the atmosphere. Get your mind ready to take care of you. Then after you've done all of that, you got your pajamas all ready, all laid out. All of that stuff that you've washed off, let it go down the drain. Let it just get off of you and take care of you. And when that's done, you put on those pajamas or whatever it is that you want to get in that bed with, and you will have a good night's sleep. Journal. Take some time to journal. Write down your thoughts. What are you feeling? How are you thinking today? What's going on in your life? Positive affirmations. Encourage yourself. Because if you don't feel good about you and take care of you, no one else will. And then we're going to, once we've done all of that for ourselves, then we might need to go outside of our circle and look into our community for resources, for assistance, and achieving the journey that you have decided that you're going to make to be your authentic self. We have partnered with community groups such as Healing Wounds. Tamu Lang is the CEO there, and she does healing from the inside out. She will come to your church. She will set up classes for individuals in the church, group settings. We also have Harambe Social Services. That's Rose Williams, who has all types of things that are there to help you be who you want to be, your authentic self. We have Heart to Heart, Denise Poole, who is the CEO there, that can help you with group sessions. If you don't want people in the church to know, it's okay. And we stress confidentiality. Then we have Powell Peters Real Estate, who can help you find housing. So we have across the board plethora of resources that the churches can use right there in your own communities. You may have some people right there in your own churches that can help you with setting up workshops. It can set up things to talk to you about self-care that can help you find jobs. These are all the things that you want in your churches, and your leadership, we're asking them to help with these things. You will see that there's a self-care wheel. We just went over some things that you can do to take care of you. Now, where does the church fit in this, into this plan? What can the churches do to help us achieve the goals that we want? And that's for them to help us, help everyone in the congregation to develop a safe place where we all can come and worship the Lord without worrying about what's going to happen to us. If we go to one of our leaders, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? Are they going to actively listen to us? Or are they just going to say, go home and deal with it? Because we had a situation where a young lady went to her pastor because her father was sexually assaulting her. She went to the pastor and told him what was going on. The pastor called the father in, and he said he wouldn't do it anymore. Well, what do you think happened? It continued. It stopped for a while, but he went back to it. And it ended up being a court case, and the child had to be removed from the home. The pastor was and is facing charges. The child has been removed from the home. These are things that you need to know. If someone comes to you and if child abuse is involved, we are mandated reporters. We have to report it. Do not tell them to go home and work it out. Now you have caused a bigger problem than you probably thought would happen. Develop protocols to help domestic violence victims. Have an action plan in place to follow if an abused woman asks for help or if a congregant is abusing his family. Prioritize the safety of victims and accountability of the batterer. Be ready to make referrals. Create a safe haven. Make your congregation a safe place where abused women can ask for help. Let the community know that you are prepared to provide support. Keep an updated list of referral resources. Teach through life cycle events. You may have more contact with families around life cycle events related to the birth of a child, coming of age, ceremonies, weddings, the like. Be aware that pregnancy and the arrival of a child may escalate abusive behavior. That's a big one. Educate your community. I suggest that each church has at least one member take a 40-hour domestic violence training course that will teach you how to respond and what to do in the event of domestic violence situation in the church. Education is paramount. Sponsor educational programs on domestic violence. Invite staff from local shelters and other providers to speak at services. Print articles that include lists of community resources in your bulletin. Post bathroom flyers with resource numbers. Work as a team. Nobody works in silos. We have to work together. Define your role and be ready to refer by building relationships with the domestic violence advocates, police, and the staff, and certified batterer intervention programs. Training. We can always use training. Use your prophetic voice. Give some sermons on domestic violence to build awareness. Teach that family violence is not acceptable in your community and emphasize that help is available. Support your children. Make sure your teachers, your group leaders, they receive training on how to recognize abuse and make sure it's age appropriate. Teach your children the proper names for their body parts. Don't be so quick to let your child hug any and everyone, even aunts and uncles. It's really crucial because they don't know the difference between a good touch and a bad touch. We often say, oh, there's good touches and there's bad touches. We understand as adults what good touches are, what makes us feel good, and we know what does not make us feel good. Children don't understand that because a good touch to them, somebody hugging them, that could feel good, but it may not be good. So be careful when you say and talk about the difference between a good touch and a bad touch. To sum this all up, no matter what we're going through, it might look bad, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. When we get together and we have people that we can work with, that can share things with us, that we can talk to and not worry about what they're going to think about us, not worry about being criticized, not worry about being talked about. We had this one woman to come to our church. She's a middle-aged woman, and she used to dress very provocatively. And she always dressed very, very nice. Years later, I saw her, and I said, hey, how are you doing? I said, haven't seen you in church in a while. She disclosed the reason why she stopped coming to church because she was in a domestic violence situation and she didn't want anybody to know. She dressed the way she made her dress that way because he wanted her to look like she did when they first dated. So years later, when I saw her, she had let herself go in our eyes, but she didn't let herself go. She was dressed the way she felt comfortable because her husband was no longer around. So we have to be careful of the things that we say and what we look at, because everything that looks like gold is not gold. So we have to be careful. So Maya Angelou says it, and I know we all have heard this. Still, I rise. You may write me down history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may try me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil's well pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. So with all of this, we get wisdom. We get knowledge. We uplift our sisters. We don't tear them down. We encourage them because yet still I rise.
Thank you, Hilda. Thank you. Thank you. If anyone has questions, can you please put them in the chat and we'll read them and present them to Hilda? David, I think I need you to help me because I don't think I can see all that on my phone.
about domestic violence during the time of pandemic here in our Q&A. So someone asks, how do we deal with domestic violence during this time of pandemic? It's been said that many victims are staying in abusive homes because they don't know where to go that will be safe for them with respect to domestic violence, and because most churches are not meeting physically. Same person. Another question, but because most churches are not meeting physically now but are meeting via Zoom, can someone be designated at the church as the go-to in the chat to receive cries for help? Should there be an announcement informing those in the meeting that they can reach out during the service via chat or privately?
Yes, we do have safety measures in place for victims of domestic violence during this pandemic season. Yes, you can reach out to the shelters. You can call the hotline, the domestic violence hotline, and there is funds there that will help them get to a safe place. Many people have been put up in hotels, and different churches have been contacted. I know our church has been very instrumental in assisting different shelters for toiletries and things of that nature. The Camden County missionaries, Modest Walker, have gotten socks together. They've gotten toiletries and taken them to different shelters that need them. And they can contact the hotline, and each county has a domestic violence safe house. And there are domestic violence places that resources, I can get that to you, where you can contact. As I stated, each county does have a domestic violence program that you can reach out to, and they can assist in getting them to safe places. And I didn't talk to you about getting restraining orders. You can go to police, you can call them, and things are in place. Yes, the domestic violence hotline number is 1-800-799-7233. And in the churches, they can reach out to different areas to assist them with domestic violence situations. And yes, I can also provide you, if you want to, I can give you my email address, and you can reach out to me, and I can give you some more resources. It's hilda.massenburg@gmail.com. And I can give you some organizations, Harambe Social Services, Healing Wounds. They can talk to people privately. If they want to, I can give you that information to reach out to them. And I see another question, how are children faring in homes during pandemic? It's really rough for them as well. So what we're doing is, again, looking to community resources to see what they have in place to help the children. At our church, we have a youth ministry where they are getting, different things together for, to send to the children to make sure that they have snacks and toys and puzzles and books. We're encouraging them to read books, and some people are just, making phone calls and doing these Zoom presentations. They play games on them, and you have to be creative in trying to bring awareness and safety to the children that are dealing with things going on in their homes. And it's really sad because the outlets that they have are no longer there, because you have to be 6 feet apart and they can't go out and play like they used to. And even as adults, we know how we're faring with this, and you can just imagine what's happening with the children. So as churches and faith-based communities, I encourage you all to do things, reach out to the communities to find out what's going on in your prospective communities that will help during this pandemic.
Just note that American Baptist Churches of New Jersey will be producing a resource guide that will be available before the end of the year that will list by county some of the organizations that you can contact And within those county organizations, there are other organizations. So if there's a particular area of interest, you can always express that in terms of identifying the appropriate resource that you're interested in.
And if anyone has someone that they would like me to talk to, give me their phone number. Don't give them mine. You can call me and I can, I will talk to them because I do counsel domestic violence victims. I am a domestic violence specialist, and I have been trained for domestic violence and sexual assault advocacy. And I'll be happy to talk to anyone. And as I stated, I will be glad to put them in contact with someone that will reach out to them and help them. Because each county has a domestic violence response team. And if you have a specific county that you're interested in, let me know and I can give you the phone number to that center, and they can have someone from that domestic violence response team call that person and talk to them. So we are still on the ground trying to make a safe place for everyone as much as we possibly can.
Are there any more questions?
Well, I know we've got a couple of other questions here about from individuals about how to get copies of the presentation and where to get some other resources as well. And so so I just want to let people know that this video will be on our YouTube page, so you can go on our YouTube and see that. But also, if you're interested in receiving that packet of information at the end of the year, as well as our other updates for Sacred Safe Spaces, you can sign up on our newsletter. And the only reason I bring that up now is because our website is under construction. But if you go to abcnj.net, you can sign up for our updates on our website, and we'll make sure that goes into our Sacred Safe Space stuff as well.
And I rushed through this presentation because we're under time constraints, but if anyone would like me to come out and do a presentation at your church at a later date, I'll be so happy to do that. And as I stated, we have other resources available. We partner with Healing Wounds, we partner with Harambe, Heart to Heart. These are all community-based organizations that will help. And we also have someone who I work with who, if you know someone that's in a domestic violence situation and their home needs to be, I don't want to say programmed, but they will set up cameras in their homes free of charge. They will help them set their homes up for a safe space. So if you need that information, I cannot give you that person's name, but you have my email address. If you'd like to reach out to me and let me know, then I can contact them and we can make arrangements where that person's home can be safety outfitted.
And we did put your email into the chat box too, to all the panelists, but I know somebody asked about the 40 hours of domestic violence training. So if you have recommendations of that, Hilda, could you pass those on to Estelle, and maybe we could do something as a region with that too?
Certainly will.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if people would like to get contact information of their county organization, they can always go to the New Jersey Coalition to End Domestic Violence website. So Hilda, can you give that address, that website?
We're in the process of moving. The New Jersey Coalition to End Domestic Violence is presently located in Trenton. However, we are in the process of moving our location. I have not gotten that address as of yet, but
no, email address.
I don't have that email address either. I'm sorry, because I just have specific people that I can. And again, go ahead, Reverend Estelle.
If you go, oh, thank you. njcedv.org.
Donna, thank you so much. You know I'm nervous, right?
And I have no memory.
Thank you all.
But if you go on the website, Google New Jersey domestic violence, there's a wealth of information there. New Jersey domestic violence.
And ladies and everybody that's on this, I am so nervous, and I appreciate everybody just being attentive, because there's so much more that I could have shared with you, but again, we're under time constraints, and I am one of the Women of Color co-chairs, the Women of Color Task Force for the state of New Jersey, the New Jersey Coalition to End Domestic Violence, and I see some of my colleagues on, and thank you all so much for your support. It's really, it's nervous, because I'm used to standing in front of people doing this, so thank you. And all of you be blessed and take care of yourselves, and we're here to help you.
Hilda, you done good. Thank you.
Thank you, Hilda.
Thank you, Donna.
Well, folks, that's it. Our next webinar is going to be on August 22nd, and it will be dealing with sexual assault. The Me Too movement and all Time's Up, all of that is based on accepted practices, which are sexual assault, unfortunately. So if you would like to know more and be able to recognize it and be able to help people who may be experiencing that, please sign up for our next webinar. Thank you, and God bless everyone.